Hello, hello. I don't think there's anybody here yet. This is just a quick test for the YoloBox Pro. I want to try out some of the new features. I'll try and show you here. You can see kind of what's going on, hopefully. If that's too dark, let me know if anybody's watching. Let's see. I don't think there's any way to tell on here how many people are actually watching. I can see comments, but I don't think I can see who's actually watching or how many people are actually watching. I'm going to go watch myself on the computer here. Hey Fengzhu. For watching. Not bad. I'll take it. So yeah, if you are here, then yeah, this is the YoloBox Pro. You can see maybe if I can fit it into screen here. This is the original YoloBox here, so it's smaller. And it's also, the new Pro version is also physically a bit nicer, which is maybe maybe difficult to show on camera. I mean, the original YoloBox was pretty nice. It has this rubberized back. The new version has like almost a rubberized feel all around it, which is really quite nice. And of course, there are more inputs. Can I do this without messing stuff up? There are more inputs on the new version. This has 2 HDMI inputs, and the new version, the Pro version, has 3, and there's a whole lot more. I'll make an actual video, proper video about this as well. This is just a kind of trial run here. Audio, video are great. That's good. I'm just using the on-camera mic here, so you can see the audio settings here. I have it set to follow HDMI 1, which is my main camera that has just a shotgun mic on top of it. It's not too far away from me, so I figure this should sound all right. So that's good to hear. Let me go back to the comments here. For those of you who might be wondering about this other feature here, I do have the HDMI output, excuse the mess, going into a monitor down here, so I can see what's going on, which is nice. It's easier to see the comments instead of just tilting my head down here to look at the actual YoloBox next to me. Okay, there we go. But you can kind of see maybe there what's going on. So we're going to try some of the graphic overlays and stuff now. So let's just go in here. The first tab down here, this is not really a review or tutorial. This is just me kind of playing around with it, but I might as well explain it as I go. The little overlays tab down here will allow you to add some in there. You've got image overlays and lower thirds. We're going to go for image overlays first. I've got an SD card in here, so let's choose, I don't know if this will show up with this color, but this is a PNG, and let's scale that. And I think I can move it. Yes, you can move it down. Let's put it down in this corner here and make it a little bit smaller. There we go. Let's click done. So now I can turn that on, and I guess you can see down in the corner here that that icon, that overlay. It's a PNG, so it's transparent PNG, which is cool. If you have a little logo like this, for example, that's a great way to use that. You can just turn it off by tapping in here, and you can load a couple in here if you want to switch between multiple overlays. We're going to go ahead and check out the other options, the lower thirds here. So you've got a couple of different versions. You've got some with color, you've got a simpler one, you've got a rolling caption that will roll across the screen, and then you've got a little bar down at the bottom here. We're just going to go with this lower third for now, and let's see what we can customize now. So before, this was not really that customizable, so I'm going to check out our title, and just keep in mind here, you can see by the default text, the white section says please enter a title, the pink section says please enter a subtitle. So be careful where you enter what here with the title and subtitle sections, but we'll go and add a title, which is the bigger white section. Let's just add my name. This is something you might typically use a lower third for. We'll add a subtitle, and let's just add YoloBox here for today because that is the theme of today's video. Space didn't get in there, but whatever, that's fine. Let me fix it, I guess. Might as well. Alright, and then you can change the font. I actually like this Roboto font. This is what I typically use actually in my videos, which is great, but you do have some choices here. You can choose the size. Let me see if I can do this without my hand getting in the way. So you can adjust the size for the title and the size for the subtitle independently, which is cool. You can select the title color. This is for the text itself. So if I wanted to go with, let's say, orange text on a black background because it's almost Halloween, you can do that. And then you can do the same for the subtitle. So let's select the opposite here just to make it nice and Halloween themed there. We'll keep the text actually white. I selected black by accident there. Let's click white. You can actually use transparent text, which is pretty cool too. No, it's not, because it's just transparent to the background color. We'll just choose white. But there you go. You can really customize that quite a lot from before. You can also change the subtitle font independently of the title font, which is great. I apologize if you can't hear me that well. I'm talking away from the microphone right now. And then you can change the offset of the subtitle. So we'll move it one side or the other. Let's move it something like that. That's kind of cool. And then you can adjust the scale overall as well. This is fine. Let's choose there. And you can move it around where you want. This is a left oriented subtitle, I guess. So let's put it down at the bottom there. Once you've got everything set, click done up in the top corner. And now we've got that in our overlays menu, so I can turn that on just by tapping it, and there's my overlay in the bottom corner. I could also turn on the logo in the right corner, and then I could turn off this, and it has a nice fade to it, which is kind of cool. Did something happen? I think I'm still streaming. Did something happen? Just a moment. Let me turn off the sound on my phone here. Alright. So that was kind of an example of some of the overlays section, not counting the scoreboard, but you can see here they've really updated the customizability of that from the original version, which is great. That was one of my main complaints with that, because it was really nice to have all of that. We'll stream our system. Cool. Still good. Thanks, Simon. Sorry, there's a little delay here, so I apologize for that. But yeah, so the customizability of the overlays originally was one of the things I didn't like, especially because it was defaulted to pink. I wanted to be able to set that as something different. Even just black and white would have been better. But now you can customize that, and you have tons of customization, which is really, really great. And it might even mean the difference between using it and not using it for some people. you can also feature the comment to the stream. So let's try and do that. So I'm looking at the comments now here, and I'm just going to take that one right there. And I believe, yeah, so you can do that there. Let me show you how I did that by switching over to this camera here. You can see the comments in this comment panel right here. And there's a little kind of, I don't know what that would be called, the icon right on the side there. And you can now turn that on and turn that off to show somebody's comment, which is really cool. So if you are doing something, let me switch back to my main camera, or maybe you're doing like a Q&A section, for example, you could show the question that you're responding to on screen, which is always nice to be able to do, and now you can do it directly from right in here, which is really quite cool. I'm going to try out a couple more things here. And I just want to quickly check the, could customize the comment as well, upright icon. Let me show you this here. Let me go back. So hopefully you can see this all right. When you're in that comments panel, comments tab here, there's a little icon in the top right here, and you can customize how that actual comment is shown, which is cool. So you've got this kind of design here, got a few to choose from. And so if we go for that, you can also then customize that. So just like the overlays for the titles, you have, your pink background for the username. Let's go ahead and change that. We'll go with our Halloween theme here, with an orange background and some black text. And you can do, let's see, you can change the font, of course, the comment color as well. So I don't like that blue here now. I'm going to change that just to a white to make it stand out more. You can change the background color as well as the transparency. Let me slide that over here. Sorry, this is a weird angle, but you can make it a little bit more transparent if you maybe have something behind that comment you want to be able to be want to have visible. You can also change the scale. That's way too small. I think the standard for that was fine. But depending on the situation, you could customize that as well. And this is just one of those 3 different ways you can customize that display, which is really pretty cool. And if you're not sure, or if you didn't know, actually I haven't checked my comments from Facebook, but I did see that you should put the Facebook settings to public if you want to be able to view comments in here. And I have it streaming from my page, my Scott Dumas photography page now, not from my personal page. So there was no options for public or private or unlisted or whatever in that type of configuration. Excuse me. So that might be why I'm not seeing comments in here. Maybe nobody's commenting. I don't know. I'm streaming to Facebook as well right now, in case you're curious. But let's go ahead and check out a couple more things really quickly. I want to show you once again, I have the audio choices selections here. You could put headphones in here to monitor your audio, which I don't have now, but you could adjust the levels for monitoring audio independently of the actual audio level. I have it set to about 50 on the HDMI 1 right now. So again, if it's too quiet or anything too loud, let me know. I'm again not monitoring this right now, but that's that. And so let me switch cameras here. And you also have this scoreboard type customization as well, which I thought was really cool. If you're streaming a sports event, for example, this is really, really nice. So you could turn that on and off. I'll turn it on just so you can kind of see what's going on. Let's turn it, make it a little bit in the corner here. We'll check that as our position. So we can customize the size here to make it a little bit bigger. Just click check. You can add scores for the teams here. you can turn time on and off. If you turn time, you can set it to a timer or for a countdown if you're counting down, depending on the sport or the event that you're streaming. And then you can also control the time here. We're just gonna turn that off for now. You can select the period. You can type this in manually, so if you have, you know, halves or quarters or periods, depending on the sport again that you are streaming, you can customize that how you need. And then you've also got your team info, so you can customize the game name here, again changing the fonts, changing the text and the background colors. This is a lot more customization than we had before, but it's pretty much across the board for all of the different overlay types that you have. You can customize all this stuff, which is really cool. You can set the team names here, as well as again the font, the colors, and the same for both teams. You can also add logos. I don't have logos right now, but if, for example, I wanted to add a logo, you can you can upload a transparent background, a PNG file, up to 96 by 96. If you don't want to see this reminder every time, you can check that box. We'll just click OK. And right now I just have these two logos that I had already loaded as my overlay. But if you had your team logo on your SD card, you could load that in right here, which is pretty cool. So let me go back instead of clicking done. So that's the scoreboard display. I'm going to go back to this camera and just check that I'm good with comments. Saw somebody say it might make the Atom Mini obsolete. I actually have the Atom Mini as well as the Live Pro L1 from FieldWorld, and those are both great in their own sense, but honestly, with all these new updates, this is just a lot more intuitive, and I'm not even on my computer right now. I could be anywhere. All I have to have is my camera plugged into the YoloBox, and I'm not even plugged into power with the YoloBox. I've had this powered on for probably about an hour now, and it's still at 75% power with the built-in battery, which is great. I'm using Wi-Fi directly from here, streaming to Facebook and YouTube at the same time. Again, this is not meant as the main review because this is a very unorganized, rambling video, but I mean, this really has kind of everything that you could possibly need built into it. And as I saw in the comments here, they are going to be releasing more and more features for this, more and more updates for this, and some pretty awesome ones, to be honest with you. And one really cool thing about this as well that I can't show you now because I'm actually streaming is you can even just use this as a monitor. So you can view this kind of what would I call it, this display with your multiple camera angles as just a monitoring monitor. So if you have multiple cameras that you want to see all at the same time when you're filming or when you're doing whatever, you could use it as a monitor as well and see all of those different angles, which is really cool. And something that I actually will probably use it for fairly often. So even just as a monitor. Sorry, my battery died on my second camera. Let me switch that out and hopefully my main camera won't die in the meantime. Okay, so yeah, it's as easy as that anyway. Even during a stream, if something gets disconnected and then reconnected, you can see it popped right back up. Sorry for that. And how's my battery on this other camera? Should be good. Okay, and let me just follow up on these comments here. I saw one of the questions, have I tried the recording feature? Not on the Pro just yet. I have used it in the past on the original, so I will be trying that with the Pro as well to see how it works and if it's any different or if there's any problems with it, but I don't suspect there should be any problems. So another new feature that they've talked about is the green screen. I don't have a green screen, but I have a blue screen right behind me. So let me flip this around. Should have done this before. Hopefully without breaking anything, sorry. Okay. Let's see, will that cover me? Let me stand it up and see if that works better. Got a fan here that's messing things up. This is too tall. Sorry, real problems here. Whatever, it's good enough. Let's flip it this way for now, and maybe I'll scooch it up on some blocks or something if this is causing problems. But let's zoom in a bit. That's way too much. Way too zoomed in. I'm gonna have to boost this up a bit on some blocks or something. Let's see if that helps. We'll manage. Make it work. It seems to be almost covered, so ignore that little corner up there, which is not covered. And let me raise my tripod just a little bit here. All right. Sorry, before we go into this, somebody asked about, do I have any idea how the YoloBox compares with the Atom X or even the Atom Mini? I have the Atom Mini somewhere. I'm not actually sure where I put it. But I just think that this is, they're both easy in their own ways. And I believe there may be another update coming for the YoloBox Pro, hopefully, where you could actually use it as a USB webcam source, which would, for me, kind of put the final nail in the coffin, because that's one of the things that I like using the Atom Mini for the most, is being able to plug it in to my computer and use it just like a webcam. So if I'm using Skype, for example, I don't have to do any complex setup or use any special software or actually use a lower quality webcam. I can use my camera, which I already have set up at my desk, and then just plug in. So if I can use this in that way, then in terms of convenience, I think that this is going to do quite well in really kind of covering pretty much everything that the Atom Mini can do, and then adding a whole lot more functionality to it, because you have the display here, and you can see everything. You can follow comments on here. You don't need a computer. You can do it wirelessly, or you can plug in an Ethernet cable. You can do it with a SIM card too, I believe, but that's beyond my comprehension. Sorry, I just realized I had the scorecard still on here. I'm going to turn that off. Scoreboard display. Okay. And just like, I mean, the list of features of what you can do with this is just getting longer and longer, and it's, like I said, to the point where I can't really see too much of a benefit of having the Atom Mini over this Atom X cast. I don't know about, to be honest with you. I haven't used it, and I'm not too sure about what extra things that may have. But with the way that this is here already, and the way that it's going with some future updates, which I know will be coming very soon, I don't think that there's really anything that I would be left wanting from having only the YoloBox Pro. I say only the YoloBox Pro. It's not only, it's a really full-featured kit, but having just this one item would really satisfy quite a lot. It's a monitor, it's a streaming device, it's a switcher, and it does it automatically. You can see comments, everything. It's just got a whole lot built into it. And with that USB webcam feature coming soon, I'm golden. I'm good. I'm happy with this. So let's see if I can do something with this blue screen behind me. Now, just to let you know, this is not like well lit or anything like that. The whole video overall is not really particularly well lit. Sorry about that. And I've literally never done blue screen before. So we'll see how easy this is for a total noob. Let me get my, sorry. So let's see, go to the settings, I assume. So there's a whole lot here too that I haven't even talked about yet. But you know, you've got things like settings for how SD card video switches and all this stuff. Now, a lot of this might be similar to the original YoloBox, and I do have a video, or at least a couple videos on that as well. So if you want to see details about that, please check it. Let me see if I can figure out how to do. Thanks, Simon. See if I can figure out how to do this here. All right. This is one thing that I hadn't seen before, so you can, I know this is a weird angle. You can see here the encoding settings. So I have it set to constant quality now, but you can change that to constant bitrate or a variable bitrate, or you can adjust it right there. So depending on your internet conditions and how complex your scene may be, you know, how much data is going through, what you need specifically, you can do that in that settings menu as well. In recording limits, there are settings here as well. So if you find that how often it will be set, you can set, these are like little clips. So same as with most cameras, you can set it to save shorter files, 10-minute files or something like that, just in case anything happens. Like they tell you down here, if you to prevent losing the complete recording, if anything happens, power drops out or whatever, then, you know, if you set it at 10 minutes, you'll have a bunch of 10-minute clips, and if something dies, then at least you have that up until maybe, you know, the last few minutes that you lost, and you have all the video before that. So it works the same as with a lot of cameras. When you're switching between these different views, you can also just click just click once, like I have been doing, to switch, or you can double click, so that'll prevent maybe accidentally switching your video sources if you need to, you know, put some effort into actually double clicking it to switch between these sources. And you've got some transitions as well, but with streaming I found that these don't often work that well because it really ups the amount of data that you need to send, and it can get a little bit glitchy. Alright, so thank you for the tip here. To get the blue screen going, you've got this little icon here in the top corner of this source, and that's it. Just click that and you've got your Chroma key. This, you can't see this. Let me go back to that camera angle. You've got this little icon in the top corner here. I think I can zoom in a little bit. Yeah. This icon right here, just tap that. Sorry, tap the icon, and then you can see, yeah, this is still, I believe, showing this view, right? So you can just turn that on. That's all it is. So I'm going to turn that on. And can you see this? I don't know if you can see this. Let me give it a second just to make sure that what you're, yeah, no, okay. Let me go back. So I'm actually going to do this. This is not going to work, obviously. I don't have a blue screen behind the YoloBox, but just to show you keeping this view here, how this works. If you click that little icon, then this is the screen that you can see. This is kind of like a weird picture-in-picture type effect going on for me right now, but all you have to do is turn it on here. There's that switch, and then you've got some settings. So you can choose your key color type. Obviously, this angle, I'm going to have to redo this for my main camera, but you can choose if you're using green or blue screen. You can choose the similarity, so I'm sure this is kind of like a filter for where the edges are going to be, how sensitive it is, I guess, to cut that out. Lucky I'm wearing black today. You've got the smoothness as well that'll help. We'll see in a second how it looks, and then you can choose a background image. To add a video background, please add a PIP video under the multi-views after the chroma keying. So let's just go with this. Right. So I'm going to now try and set this for my main camera here. Turn that on, select blue, and now, I don't know, can you see this? I mean, that was one click, if you can see this. I'll have to wait a couple seconds. I can see the stream on my computer, but there's a slight delay. Let's see how this looks here. That's pretty impressive though, already. Okay, so on the live stream, it just looks black in the background there. And so let's click done for that. I did not mean to click done yet. So now we can adjust the similarity. So I can completely disappear, or I can bring the blue background back a little bit. So you can find that kind of sweet spot between where it's going to start cutting out. And then you can adjust the smoothness as well. That kind of has a similar effect with a little bit more of a fine-tuned type control. Let's see, right around there. I think I'm not disappearing or anything like that. God, that's weird. I'm seeing it come up on the live stream now. That's pretty strange. But let's go ahead and click the background image. I only have those PNGs, so we'll just go ahead with that. And just a note, they do say if you want to add a background video in the background instead of just an image, then you have to add a picture-in-picture video under the multi-views after you set up the chroma keying. But let's click done for now. And see how that is. And again, keep in mind, this is not well lit. So if you have a well lit background and main key light, then I'm sure that the result is going to be even better, as it would be with any green screen or blue screen setup. Lighting can be key to getting a nice clean cutout, but I'm impressed with this. I mean, that took me like 5 seconds if I wasn't talking at the same time. And it looks pretty clean, even with this terrible lighting. It's impressive. Of course, I've got the corners up here that are not covered, so if I was doing this for real, I would want to have a setup that my full background is covered. It would be cool. I don't know if it's an option that they could add in the future, to have where you could set like boundaries, I guess. So if I'm only going to be here and I only have like something like this, and no matter how I set it up, my corners are still showing, I could set like a frame, for example, or something around the outside corners to kind of cut it off and say that anything outside of this kind of goes along with that blue screen and takes on that whatever I set as the background. That would be cool for situations like this, or if you only have like a small green sheet or blue sheet. Just I think it would be a little bit better than for people who don't have this crazy complex setup. But yeah, like I said, this is impressive. Somebody said better than my first attempt with OBS. Again, this is my first attempt ever, literally, and it took 5 seconds, and that was because I was talking at the same time. But this looks pretty legit, even with terrible lighting. That's impressive. I'm very happy with that, and it could be quite a lot of fun, actually. Something that I might actually use. When, again, I've never used it before because I've never felt a need for it, or just it was too much trouble. But this is literally no trouble at all, except trying to get my background to fit within the framing, which if I had my camera further away and blah blah blah, would be easy enough to do. But well done. This is a pretty cool feature. and it was really, really simple to do, as with pretty much everything that I've tried doing on the YoloBox, where with something like the Atom Mini or the Live Pro L1 from FeelWorld, it can do a good amount of stuff, but it's complex in a lot of cases and a little bit overwhelming, especially for beginners. This is the great thing about this, I think, is like it's really good for anywhere from beginners up to people who really want the fuller feature set that this has to offer. If they're streaming events, if they're streaming themselves, you got a lot built into here. And it's just really, really intuitive. But yeah, the really nice sharp edges. I mean, those two settings for the kind of sensitivity or threshold, I guess it would be called in a lot of cases, really simple to use. You can see the results as you're dialing them in. It's kind of foolproof, idiot-proof, I should say. And also a note on the battery life. Again, I'm running this off battery. It's, what time is it now? 11:40. I don't know, it's been an hour and a half now maybe since I turned this on, possibly more. I updated the firmware. I got everything set up, and I've been streaming now for, I don't know, however long this video is, and I'm at 66% on the built-in battery. It was probably around 95% when I started, something like that. So pretty good battery life, and again, the screen here is, I think, a bit brighter than the original YoloBox. It's larger than the original YoloBox. So that's also impressive, the fact that the battery is doing so well. I want to also show you, I'm going to go over to this camera so you can see the screen here. Right now I have two HDMI video sources, but you can also add a video source from your SD card. So if I add another video source, you can add two actually here. So if you have multiple videos on your SD card, you can add multiple videos as extra sources. I only have one video on my SD card here, so I'm going to select that, and you can see it down here. Now if you go into the settings again, you've got options for your SD card switching settings, and you can choose that it will continue playing when you switch, or it will resume the first frame and then pause when you switch, or it will just pause when you switch. So what this means, when it pauses when switching, means that if I was to start playing this video, you can see that there. And then I was to go back to another video source, and then go back to that SD card again, it's gonna play right from where it was, because when I switched off of it, it paused. Now, if I go to resume the first frame and pause when switching, when I switch off of it, it's going to go back to the beginning, and then it'll just wait. So I don't know if you can see there, but now it's switched back to the beginning. If I play that again, from the beginning, and then when I switch off, it goes back to the beginning again, and every time that I play it, it will start over from the beginning again. Or you can do continuous playing while switching. So if I go to that, it'll start playing, and then as I switch off of it, you might be able to see down here in the corner that the video is actually just continually playing. So if I were to switch back to it, I could see what's going on here, and then when I'm ready, okay, this is the point I want, so click on that and switch over at that point. So you've got some different options for how to manage that SD card video as well. I'm going to actually choose pause when switching, because that is, for me, often the most useful. And I'm going to go to it and pull back off, so that way it'll pause. Let me check out my comments real quick. Yes, so as Simon said, there is no audio on the clip, and that was on purpose right now because I was talking. So that would be when you go through the audio sources here, I have it set on HDMI 1 now, so it's just going to stay on HDMI 1, which is the mic that's on my camera, no matter what source I choose. So if I choose this source, or if I choose my talking head source, or if I choose the SD card video source, the audio is always going to be coming from that HDMI, which if you're trying to talk over something is useful. But if I selected automatic, it would follow that. So then when I started the SD card video, it would use that audio. And then when I selected my HDMI 1, it would use that audio. HDMI 2, it would use that audio. But now I only have a mic on my HDMI 1 camera, so I wanted to keep that constant. But if you have multiple video source, again, you could also continue the audio from that video. Local video 1 is the local video from my SD card, and I can just have that audio going continuously as well, even if I switch off of that camera angle. So you can choose things manually, or you can set them to automatic to follow whatever your video source is. So that's pretty similar, I think, to other streaming devices like the Atom, for example. So that's a lot of new features that they've really added into here. But it worked really smoothly. I mean, be aware of things, for example, like that just happened now when you're switching sources. If you wanted the audio to follow the source and it's not, and you don't know why, that's why. Just jump into your audio tab and you can switch that over to follow your audio source, or you can manually select whichever of your input sources you want. But I think everything's pretty straightforward in here. If you're having audio issues, go to the audio tab. If you're having scoreboard issues, go to the scoreboard tab. But things are pretty straightforward for the most part. This video looks crazy with multiple backgrounds here. Can you stream music in the background to sources versus HDMI audio, or as a mix? Mix would be interesting. So that's something that I still don't see here. Sorry, wrong camera angle. I still don't see an option to mix or select multiple audio sources here. So for example, if you have a video that you want the audio to be playing from, but still you also want to talk over it, I would like to be able to select multiple audio sources. I don't know if that's possible, if it's too much for the hardware or what, but as of now, I don't think you can mix them. And you do have options, for example, for a mic and a line in, if you have audio coming from there. If you have local video, like I said, you can select that audio to be playing the whole time. So if you're just doing something with a camera source, a HDMI source, that maybe the audio doesn't matter and you want audio to be playing in the background, then maybe you could add a video with that audio and select that as your audio source instead. And then you would be able to choose your HDMI source, where maybe you're doing something with your hands, like if it's a tutorial video or a cooking video or whatever. And then you have that audio playing in the background with no audio coming in from your HDMI source. Again, it would be cool to be able to mix those, so you could, or even if it was, I don't know how this will work, I'll have to ask about that, but it would be cool if you could have, instead of a local video source, if you could have a local audio source and put audio on the SD card and choose that as well. And even better than that would be if you could mix them to choose local audio to play at the same time as you have audio coming in from, for example, your HDMI 1 like I do now. Not entirely sure about the possibilities there or their plans for that, but I will look into it, or possibly someone will hopefully give me an answer soon. We'll see. So if there's anybody from YoloBox here in the stream, what do you think? Is that possible? Is it possible to have two audio sources? Sorry, not even looking. I thought I'm looking at the camera here. I'm talking to the camera and it's on the wrong source. Is it possible to have two audio sources, for example, HDMI and the local video, playing at the same time? And on top of that, would it be possible to add audio on the SD card, audio only, like WAV or MP3, and play that in the background while I also have audio coming in through my camera to mix those together? Is that a possibility? Is that something you plan? And just so it's out in the open here, that is something that I think people would appreciate. That would be cool to have. trying to think. I think that's most. Let me check my list here. I think that's most of the kind of updated features. There's a lot of other tech specs that have been updated, of course, from the original YoloBox to the YoloBox Pro. Just in case people watching now want to know some of those. I think there's only 7 people watching, but hey, it's more than 0. The update, the new display is 8 inches, the original is 7 inches, and now it's 400 nit versus 300 nits, so it is a little bit brighter. You've got, they say up to 6 video sources, but I think that may have changed. Originally, when I was looking up all these specs, it said you've got 3 HDMI inputs, 1 USB, for example, a webcam. You've got USB-C 3.0 input, which would, for example, work with the drone, I guess. I've never used anything like that sort of setup. You've got your SD card sources, they say video and PDF. And now, because of the update, I think you can also add 2 video sources from the SD card, like I said. The original one only had 4 sources total, so 2 HDMIs, the USB for a webcam, and the SD card. And I don't think you could add 2 sources from the SD card on the original one, unless the firmware was updated for that compatibility too. I'm not sure. Now you have mic and line input, speaking of audio. The original only had mic input, so this will, again, open this up for more situations if you're taking line input from a mixing board, for example, at some sort of event. That could be good to have. And that's a hardware update from the original. Audio encoding is now 44.1K. The original said 48K. The lowest live resolution is actually updated from 480p to 540p. Don't know if that matters for anybody or not. And now you can use also a nano SIM card. The original was only a standard SIM card. I've also never used SIM card in this. I'll be completely honest. I don't even know. I'm in Japan, so things might be a little bit different with the different companies over here or whatever. I'm not sure how that would work. But as I said, battery life is pretty good. I'm still at 60% here, and I've been going for a while. And this has a 10,000 milliamp hour battery. The original was half of that, 5,200 milliamp hours, which would give the original over 3 hours of battery life. Again, this is larger and very slightly brighter, so I'm sure that will suck up a little more battery. Maybe the processing is also a little bit more intense, depending if you're doing blue screen or what you're doing. But the battery in here is 10,000 milliamp hours, which is double the original. So as we can see, it could very well last well over 3 hours, which is what you got with the original, which is cool. You work for a mobile phone company. Perfect. So Simon Lewis is the person to ask if you have questions about streaming using a SIM card. I'm not even going to try because I just have no knowledge whatsoever about that, and I'd rather not pretend like I do. So for charging, you've got 5 volt 3 amp, 9 volt 2 amp, or 12 volt 1.5 amp options. So that may affect charge time compared to the original, which was only 3.7 volt. Again, I'm just kind of going off what I found reading the specs. In terms of, I think it's a processing power, you've got a Qualcomm 660, which they say is 2 times more powerful. The original was a Qualcomm 625. I'm really not into those tech specs that much, but it says 2 times more powerful. I understand that point. And you will have the USB webcam output coming soon, which is going to be huge. And I guess the original won't have that functionality. But that's huge. Again, if you're using Skype or Zoom or something like that, it's just really easy to just plug in a USB and your computer recognizes it as a USB webcam. And that's it. I mean, you've got all the control of your audio sources, just like you do when you're streaming here. So if you want to take audio from your camera, you can do that. If you want to use your SD card to input PDF or another video source or something like that, you can do that, all of that, just as I've showed you today in this video, and then just use it as a webcam to use through Zoom. And I teach some English conversation classes, for example, especially this year, these past couple of years over Skype, with people who have moved away from where I'm living right now, for example, old students who moved away that wanted to continue, and being able to use like a SD card source, for example. I could throw up a PDF of some worksheet that I made or something like that, and it's just really easy to do that through here. And I could still, talk over it using the same mic while I show that PDF source. Like, it's really great. And honestly, like I'm doing right now, no matter where I am, if I'm not at home and I'm out somewhere and I don't want the background to be visible, if I'm in my bedroom or whatever and I don't want the background to be visible, I could bring this pop-up blue screen with me and then throw up some background and do that wherever I am and not have to worry about a messy room behind me or whatever, which is pretty cool. And of course the price is different. This may depend on where you are or when you're watching this, if anybody bothers watching a super long live stream in the future. But the original is $8.99. The Pro is $12.99, which is what, $400 difference. I think it's totally worth it. Bigger, slightly brighter, with a lot more functionality, and even more to come. So this blue screen, for example, webcam USB output, it's faster, better battery, tons of stuff here that more input sources, of course, tons and tons of stuff here that is really, really worth that extra $400. It's not cheap overall. Obviously, if you're comparing it to something like the Atom Mini, that's, I can't remember exactly, but it's a $300-400, something like that. And but for that, you do need a computer. Can't use Wi-Fi, can't use it by itself. So I guess technically it's not that cheap. It's not just that $400. So, make of that what you may. Most people already have a computer anyway, but if you're on the go, like I said, if I want to go out with the family and then, I forgot I have a lesson, I have a lesson, only 30-minute lesson or something like that, and I want to be able to just do that while we're out somewhere, just take a 30-minute break and go and stream. All I have to do is bring this one YoloBox with me in my backpack, and then I can, boom, just live stream right there. And I'm good to go, which is really cool. Of course, you need the video source. You need your camera. Or even a USB webcam, which could be a lot smaller. So, there are options here. And those are all things that you can't do with just the video switcher. Again, the Atom, I forget what it's called, Atom X Stream or whatever it was called. Maybe they have a new one. I don't know much about it. There are other options, of course, but for me, this has worked really good. And also in terms of like the software on here, I've never had any issues with bugginess or freezing or anything like that. It's been super smooth to use. The touchscreen is very responsive. It feels like a smartphone. So it's really, really nice. If there's anybody else that's in New Zealand, Simon says that they don't have much choice in New Zealand. The internet is pretty limited outside main cities. That's the same here where I am in Kochi, Japan. We're way out in the countryside, and Wi-Fi is really, I mean, I have it in my house, of course, but just out in public, there's more and more recently, but it's limited in terms of the public Wi-Fi, I guess. And we're surrounded by mountains too, so service is not always that great for our phones either. But also, as Simon says, in New Zealand, there's a lot of 4G service for wireless broadband. Again, where I am is not really representative of Japan, something like Tokyo or Osaka or Kyoto or something, but we're pretty secluded here in Kochi. And he said it's also 2K in New Zealand dollars. So again, the price may vary depending on where you are, but the standard price, like I said, for the Pro is $12.99 and $8.99 for the original, which is still great in its own way if you don't need all the extra bells and whistles. But this Pro is really, really, really nice. Actually, my wife spent some time years ago, I don't know how long ago, probably 15-20 years ago, some time as a homestay in New Zealand, and she said like it felt like home. She was very comfortable there. She had a great host family and everything. She really liked her time there. We've wanted to go back, we just haven't been able to. But she spent, I'm not sure exactly how long She was there in New Zealand for a while, and she really loved it. And she said it was very comfortable coming from where she lives, which is where we're living now. Maybe someday we can get out there. I just want to travel again. I haven't been able to travel anywhere in the past couple of years. I feel stuck being at home the whole time. So I'm just going to grab a drink real quick here. Got the heaters going right next to me, but it makes it pretty dry. It's getting cool here. If anybody here, of the 7 people watching, if anybody has any further questions, please do let me know. I'll probably sign off here soon. So if there's anything remaining you want to know, or that you think I should test before I wrap this up, because after this I'm going to kind of write down my outline for my official video. So hopefully I can cover all these points in a bit more of a concise, reasonable time video. So if there's anything remaining that I should test that I haven't yet, let me know. And yes, Simon, when this mess is over, I would love to come visit. That would be great. And of course, the same goes for you. I don't think anybody coming to Japan would ever make it all the way out here to Kochi. People tend to stick to the big cities, but I would love to go to New Zealand. I'd love to go to a lot of places. I've never been pretty much anywhere besides the east coast of the United States and here. I've been a lot of places within Japan, but as far as other countries go, I've actually really not been that many places or anywhere in terms of other countries. So New Zealand is on the list, Australia, I mean even Hawaii. I'd love to go to Hawaii. There's so many great places. I feel like when you're hungry and you go to the supermarket and you're looking at all the food, that's how I feel right now about like talking about vacation topics. Cool. And Simon, especially, thanks for really chiming in with a lot of great input here. Appreciate it. It's always good to chat with people through here. I really don't stream much, so this is fun. It's cool. I should get to it more, especially now that I have the YoloBox. You've been to Tokyo, cool. Yeah, Hokkaido's another place. That's one we haven't got to. It's actually like, especially from, again, where we are, it's almost as expensive as traveling to another country. So we've never been to Hokkaido or Okinawa. Hopefully soon. Tokyo's not too bad. We've got the, what are they called? LCC flights now to Tokyo at least, and maybe a couple other places, so it's a bit cheaper. I haven't been to Tokyo in a while either, though. I used to go to the trade shows that they had every year, once or twice a year. I haven't been able to get to those recently either, unfortunately. But alright, I think seems like we're good to go. One thing I just noticed now, actually I doubt anybody is going to watch all the way to the end here, but I just noticed now that I have my stream set in 29 frames per second. My cameras are in 24 frames per second, so I'm not sure if that's going to cause any weirdness or not. We'll see. But I assume if I back out of this, I could adjust those settings. So it's something to watch for, maybe. But yeah, for now, I'm going to sign out, I guess, and collect my thoughts. But if you have any remaining questions of the 4 people still here, and you think of things after this, feel free to send me a message or a comment on Facebook and get in touch with me there. My link should be below for my Facebook page if you're not already connected with me there. And hopefully, I haven't been posting a lot lately. I've been testing a bunch of stuff and organizing my thoughts. I haven't posted any new videos recently, but hopefully I'll be posting some other reviews soon as well. So stick around, and again, thanks for watching. Have a good one.